There we go. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to week 8 of the HEO Development Series. Happy to see so many coaches back again. A lot of familiar names. We hope you're enjoying these. We certainly are enjoying presenting them, and we're really happy with the turnout we're getting. We're thrilled with our guest for 8 weeks tonight. David Leger, has most of you, I'm sure, know. A lengthy background in the game, from refereeing to coaching at a variety of different levels in North America, Asia, and now makes his home and plies his trade in the Hungarian league. I'll pass it over to David to let him give a little bit more of the bio, because he has some very interesting stories and details. So with no further ado, Mr. Leger, welcome, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Brian. Just a couple of things here. First, you guys, I just want to commend both Brian and Jeff and all of HEO to be able to support and put on these seminars or webinars. I participated in most of them, and I just think it's a great initiative, and maybe hopefully something that happens a little bit more frequently after the pandemic subsides. And you know, the other one I wanted to make sure to say is that I want to send out a shout out to all the frontline workers and all the people that have made big sacrifices. I'm a sister that's a nurse, and to be honest, I know it's challenging for lots of different families. So I hope everybody is safe and finding their time at this. Yeah, it's a difficult time, but I think the ingenuity that some of the courses that I participated in will hopefully yield some benefit. So I didn't want to, I'll give you a bit of a background about me. I'm sure many people know a little bit of my background, but I don't want to be presumptuous. And I've spent a good deal of my time over the last number of weeks, participating in some webinars, and I'll share that just in a bit. But I'm coaching 22 years here. I'll give you like sort of the three-pronged approach to my background. My background is very modest. I was thinking about this. My first ever season of competitive hockey was as a minor Bantam player. So I played house league hockey until minor Bantam. I made the team, so that would have been grade 8 for me. Captain of that team, I got selected, and I still remember that like it was yesterday, and it was a really important time in my life. And but my playing background is really quite modest. I was in an age group. I'm a 1968 born, where I got an extra year of midget. So I played 2 years of Bantam, 3 years of midget. Only one of those years did I play the highest level, so AA, and then I played 3 years of high school. At the same time as I was involved in all of this, into my playing, I started to officiate, and I became a, level 3, 4, 5, and then ultimately level 6 referee. And then I was lucky enough to be selected to spend a season as a professional in Switzerland. And for me, that was 1997, 98. That was the Nagano Olympic year, and for me, it was good because it was a break-off point between, okay, I've had enough of this. I've fulfilled the goal that I wanted to have, but I knew that I wanted to start coaching, and I was really fortunate. My first year coming out of officiating, I was able to work with a guy named Sean Kemp with the Hawkesbury Hawks, and I started as an assistant coach. I've had a career that really just dovetailed one year into the next, and quite fortunate, for my time, as Brian said, I've been a head coach in Europe now. I've been a head coach in the ECHL. At the time, it was the CIS. At Ottawa U for many years. I've coached with the Polish under-20 and under-18 team, and I've been, in the CCHL. I've been an assistant coach in Japan in the ECHL. I spent 3 years before becoming the head coach at Ottawa U under Mickey Goulet, which was a great learning experience. And then I spent, obviously, one season with the 67s and then another year in the CCHL. So my time has been quite different, quite unique, and the only reason why I give you that sort of depth of my background is just, my playing background didn't allow for me to have a bunch of coaches that had drilled down systems and approaches, and I didn't really come into coaching with a preconceived notion of what needed to be done and what had to be done, and I really did learn from a game-by-game basis, from a goal-against basis for how I wanted my team to play. And then, over time you interact with different people, and that really helps form, what you prioritize. So I guess what I'm leading to is I wanted to just let everybody know part of what I've experienced, over the last little bit, watching webinars and watching, I've been to the NHL coaches seminar, which was online. I participated in McGill University. They had an excellent coaching seminar for a day. I've been on all of these webinars, and I've watched USA Hockey. They have a really good webinar series that I'd recommend. You can access on YouTube. But for me, for all of the years when I watch people present, and I watch different people show content, I always care most about finding out what they do. And so, I don't necessarily want to have a theoretical discussion when I'm watching somebody present either live or in a webinar. So I guess I'm going to take a little bit of my own medicine and say, I wanted you to just get a little bit of insight of what I do. And it doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. But I wanted to just lay out a little bit of, sort of my approach to how I look at scoring chances. It just so happens that that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. But I just wanted everybody to understand. I want to leave you with just some insight as to why I think scoring chances are this window to seeing how your team ought to perform and can perform. I've obviously developed just a few tools that I've used to aid and assist with getting to what I want to be able to get at from the content. I'll show you just some the methodology that I've used, and also I want to make sure there's a clear connection between how I want my team to play and also how we've reinforced it in practice. I always think it's important. You guys can steal as you see fit. I will include an attachment at the end. I think Brian or Jeff will send around a follow-up to this presentation, and I can leave you a practice content, and I can leave you some of the other resources that I have as well too. So again, I'm excited to just sort of talk about this. The one thing I just wanted to say as an intro as well, I'm an English history major. I'm not a math major, so I'm not going to delve into any deep stats or anything that's crazy for analytics. So I just wanted to just preface my content there. I show you this graphic in 2004. The NHL draft was, I think, at the start or the front end of presenting their coaches seminar. There's always a great coaching seminar that's just in advance of the NHL draft. The NHL Coaches Association presents them. It happened that it was in Ottawa. I think I have the year right, 2004. And because I was at Ottawa U, the seminar was held actually on campus, and I was sort of a liaison with the presentations. And nevertheless, the San Jose Shark team, and it was led by Rob Zettler. He was with the Hunter guy, and I think Ron Wilson was the head coach. But nevertheless, they showed this graphic, and they did a detailed description of how they had calculated the number of 5-on-5 goals against that the San Jose Sharks gave up in the preceding season. And it was 84% of the goals against came from a shot that was inside the house. And so he called it the home plate, but it was at that time that I just became piqued. My interest was, okay, well, geez, I wonder what that factors into our team that probably doesn't play defense as well as an NHL team. And so I had our statistician at Ottawa U kind of go over the goals against from the previous year. And he gathered as much information as he could. He was a really good statistician, but you know, it wasn't real substantive. But I just became, my interest was piqued at that time, just to find out, okay, what's the impact of the goals against that the team that I'm coaching is giving up. So 84% was the prompting for the initial interest in my brain, and that's when I started to really look at this. I'll just show you a sample video. This was from the Kanata Lasers junior team that I coached. This was a couple of years ago. This was the last game of the season, and this was against Ottawa Junior Senators. And these are just the chances against that we gave up. I'm not going to do anything but just show you how these chances manifested themselves. I'm not really even going to talk over these. Our team is in dark here. So on this particular game, again, last game before the end of the regular season, we actually only gave up 5 chances in this game, which was a staggering low number for our team. And the dude in Ottawa that throws his hat had a good night that night, I guess. Okay, so I think that's 5. I didn't count them all there, but I remember tabulating that was the amount that we actually gave up that particular night. So scoring chances for me, you know, again, I saw the Rob Zettler presentation, so we're going back to 2004. I'm still at Ottawa U. Didn't really have a good handle on how best to qualify. It was early into video then. And I came back to the chances a couple of years back. And I don't know this 100% for sure, but when I coached with the 67s, I worked with a guy named Misha Donskov, and Misha was telling me he had spent 3, 4, 5 years, I guess, in the London Knights organization, and his discussion to me about scoring chances at that time said that the Hunters only cared about chances for and chances against as they started to evaluate their team. And I had sort of started to move in that direction, but I just found it just quite, just reinforcing, I think, the mindset that I had. You know, and as over time here, analytics and Corsi and all these different streams of data that you can now access. There's an ad nauseum amount that's available for NHL levels. I know in the CCHL there was a really good stats package and stats summaries that were available to all of the member teams. I never found. Maybe someone can turn their microphone off. I think someone's got their microphone on.
Yeah, sorry, David. Just going to cut in here. Guys, I've tried to mute all the mics, but I still have some coaches showing on the participant list with their mics turned on. That's really interfering. So could I ask, please, that everybody mute their mic? And if you can't mute it, move to a very quiet area. Thanks so much.
Yeah, so again, you know, I never was trying to deny the quality of the analytics and the content that was provided to our teams, but I just needed to be able to feel it and trust it and get a feel for how it was practical for my team. I never wanted to take information that I didn't think I could present to my players and make sure they understood the connection between what are we worried about chances for, or what do we worry about chances against. For me, I wanted our team to have a good understanding of why I wanted the team to play a certain way without the puck and a certain way with the puck. So for me, having a deeper dive into the scoring chances, and I'll get into it in a little bit here, I wanted to make sure that I you know, and this generation always wants the why as part of the explanation, but I just wanted to make sure that I had a really good understanding for why I wanted to deny the other team getting a chance on goal and why I thought it was important for us to generate chances on goal. I think it's so important with teams that language as you play defense and language as you use for your team, whether it's on the bench or whether it's in meetings, that there's a common dialogue and language, almost a script for your team. The one thing about focusing on scoring chances for and against is that it really is friendly to lower skilled players and higher skilled players. It doesn't distinguish between whether somebody's a hyper talented hockey player or they're just, you know, an introductory hockey player. Nor does it, if you're intelligent with how you frame your focus around chances, it doesn't distinguish between age groups either. And again, I've always felt that the most difficult throw that any team is ever going to play is finding their team to be consistent. I think on a game-to-game basis, finding consistency in a team's play is the most difficult and elusive part of our game right now, I would say. So for me, as I look at, and I showed you just a survey of clips. I'm going to show them later on. But I think it's important. I've always been asked by different people that I've worked with, you know, what do you classify as a chance? And, you know, what if it's a shot from, you know, the dot with the puck leaving the stick just before the dots? So I can define what I conclude as a chance. And then I wanted to have a means of summarizing consistently the chances that occur in games. Okay, so if you go back to this presentation, I can try and read the words of where I classify home base, but for me, it's rigid as anything. It's post to dot to top of the circle and across. So invisible space in that area. So for me, when I'm looking at assessing how my team is playing, and you'll see the calculations, you know, that I use a little bit later, I've been lucky enough in my time to always have access to video editing software. Stiva is what I use. I know there's other softwares that teams at different levels can use that are probably a lot easier. At the end of the day, Stiva allows you to categorize events in games, and it lets you go back and review the event to be precise about what exactly it is. So at the end of each game that a team that I'm coaching plays, I go back over the game and I mark the game for chances against and chances for. So I'll go back here to how I define a scoring chance. So any puck that leaves the stick of an opposing player inside the house, home plate is also how it would be called, and I classified that would have entered the net if not stopped by our goalie. So I don't include a guy that has a puck on his stick in between hash marks and it gets blocked. I don't include a puck that goes to somebody, again, same spot inside the house, right, a grade A chance, and the puck fumbles over a stick and it doesn't come off his stick. I don't include pucks that are redirected by their skate or a leg to one net. So it has to leave their stick for me to classify it as a chance. I just devised a sheet here, you guys, and this is the same sheet. I just, with different teams that I coach, I just changed the name of the team here. It says Kanata. So this is the sheet that I use, and I'll show you the actual sheet here in a second, you guys. So this here, if you can see, I hope. So each period, I just put check marks, and then I just subtotal per period, and then chances again. So I would complete this sheet after I've gone through it on the video and confirmed that is a chance for or against. Okay, so I just have this so you see the sheet that I use just to help me calculate. So that's rush. Obviously, I'll go against here. So rush against, forecheck, which would be a forecheck against our team. Face-off. A PP. So that would be against our PP. So that would mean the same team. Against our PK. In our DZone coverage, and then a turnover. So for us, everything is the same when it's offense. The only thing is if on offensive zone play, if you can see down there. Okay, so my Dave Leger definitions for what I classify it as. So anything off the rush would be anytime the team has possession of the puck, they're entering our zone, and they're getting a chance from that rush. So that means Wayne Gretzky comes across the blue line, cuts to the middle, gets inside the home base, and a shot leaves the stick and goes on net. Forecheck would be that the other team is applying forecheck pressure to our defensemen, and it's in the operation of their forecheck that they create a turnover and attack the net, and the puck leaves their stick inside the house. Face-off would be just as I write there, right from a face-off play. PP would be a shorthanded team gets a break back up the ice, no matter how it enters the zone or if it's off. I classify power play and PK as on their own. So anything that happens against our power play, I don't classify where the origin is. It's against our PP. Same thing against our PK. So I don't classify the origins of where the puck enters the zone. And then offensive and D-zone sustained play. So for me, in both situations, so let's give the example. So let's say Wayne Gretzky comes across the blue line, cuts to the middle, the puck gets turned over, or the puck gets picked up by his teammates, and that teammate, they work behind the net and cycle in the corner. If they walk out of the corner and have a shot, that's a D-zone chance. And then turnover is just a pizza, just a simple errant pass, turns up being a chance on that. So I've actually taken a lot more of an aggressive approach towards doing this. So as some may or may not know, I started last year with the Kanata Lasers in the CCHL, and I got offered a job in Hungary to go to work with a pro team in January. And so I had a year and a half with Kanata where we had a good rhythm of chances calculated and each game, and so what I did with Kanata over that time, and this is probably the only analytics part that I'm going to show. Okay, so first of all, this is the sheet I just showed you before. Okay, this isn't against Kanata. This is with the team that I was with last year. So they're called DAB. That's their name. But this is just an example of my final marks after I've gone through Viva and marked each chance in a game. This was not a good night for the team that I was coaching. But how I do it, obviously, is I go through my period. If there's a goal scored against us, I circle it. And it helps with the next sheet that I'll show you as well. So that's just the worksheet that I would do, for all periods. Again, it's my method. We got a chance 22-9, not a good night for our team, but That's just a sample of a worksheet that I've used. But this is, I guess, what I wanted to be able to show, and hopefully I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger. So this is a segment. I broke up our Kanata season into it's a 62 game season. I broke the season up into 7-game segments, and this is what I focus on for how I want my team to assess its performance and how I want our team to make improvements and get better. So I had just joined this team for the start of training camp. I had been in Poland the year before, so my video information all comes from the Polish under 20 and under 18 team. But I'll just make this a little bit bigger. So you can see here. So team defense, these are the 7 games. These are the opponents.
Just one moment, Dave. So in the participant list, I currently can see that all of the microphones are showing as muted, but clearly somebody has a device that's not listed and they're sitting in the kitchen with much noise in the background that's really interfering with the presentation. So could I please ask again, for Dave's sake, that everybody mute their mics or move to a place that is quiet and free from any background noise in the house. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thanks, Brian. So this is just an Excel spreadsheet. I've made it into a PDF. It doesn't show the same. So 7 games. These here, and I'll just try and go through this. I think this, Brian, is this visible for you? Can you see the content here?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look here, this was some information that's already part of. Every league has shots. I actually don't care about shots. I never trust shot totals. I never look at it as a stat, but our league provides it, and it's included after every game. So I just included in this. But so if you look here, this is game 1. We played Hawkesbury. We gave up 5 goals against. We had 34 shots against. 0 to 5-on-5. We gave up 16 chances. 4 of those goals came from inside the house, and 2 against our PK. 2 shorthanded goals, 1 empty net goal. And then for us, just so you understand the flow of information here, so we scored 2, we had 26 shots, 1 5-on-5, 11 chances, only 1 in the house, and 1 shorthanded. So what I was able to do for the entire season is that I was able to build this spreadsheet over the span of the season and get really good, kind of interesting data that I could bring. So this 7-game segment finished with me having, as part of a meeting, to go over what we gave up in that segment. I had already spoken to our team that I'd come to hear that the NHL average for chances against was roughly 12 against. So I had loosely, given our team a goal of, I wanted to be able to get to 15 on average, chances for, and give up, 12 or less if we could. So what this gave me is in a 7-game block, I could see what we gave up per game. And then this is the other part. I took each of those sheets that I just showed you, and this is game 1, 2, 3, and I could flow out where the sources of those chances originated. So I obviously got a total that matched this game total, so 16 down here. obviously matched this total right here, but I could see where we were giving them up in areas. And this was key for me as I started to plan practice and build an area where we wanted to make improvements in our team that was actually from concrete data, empirical advice. Instead of us, sometimes in coaching, and it doesn't matter what level you're coaching, your team loses a game and inevitably someone's going to ask you, well, what's the problem with your team? And it's a hard thing to categorize, in the absence of data, in the absence of something that's a little bit, empirical. So otherwise you're just sort of taking a anecdotal response. Well, I don't think our power play is good, or I don't think our, back check is good. Whatever it is. To me, you don't have any sort of content to be able to substantiate, what you're trying to guide your group. So here, just in this 7-game block, you could see that on average, we gave up 5 chances from the rush. Then we gave up 5 against our PK, and then 4 against our D zone. We generated 4 off the rush on average. You can see this here, just over in this area. And then ultimately 2 on the power play, 3 in the O zone. So those weren't great. Those weren't bad. I viewed this. No, this is the first 7 games of our season. This was obviously the areas that I focused on. So curtailing chances off the rush had to bleed back to what we wanted to do system-wise, and I'll show you that a little bit later. It just heightened our focus in practice that we just wanted to chew those numbers down over time. This here, I was able to take the goals against in the house, set against with the goals against. So 16 of them came in the house, 23 total goals against. So that meant that 70% of the goals came from inside the house. Conversely, we only scored 50% of our goals from inside the house. Both numbers are terrible. I always took that Rob Zettler presentation as sort of the threshold, that 82 to 85% is what you should be prepared to give up inside the house, meaning you can allow 15% of your goals against to come from outside of the house. And then conversely, your team should be hard and gritty enough to be able to generate, 85% of the goals from in the dirty areas. So I did this, and I'll just go quickly through this. I'm not going to focus on each 7-game segment. I was able to get, again, we're 62 games, so we don't have a complete 9-game, but we're able to have these sheets presented, prepared, and the players can always get a good understanding in 7-game segments, where we were. The other part that I did, a couple things here. I just kept a little sheet to help me tabulate goals for, goals against. But this sheet I also presented in the room, and you can see this here in our 7-game segments. So can you see this size-wise, Brian? Hopefully, yeah. So segment 1, games 1 to 7, we scored 18 goals in that 7-game, and we gave up 23. 16 of them came from inside the house, 9, and this was our record in those 7 games. So this let me, obviously, it's the same sort of sheet that I just showed you there, but I was able to sort of look in second segment and show to our guys. So in the second segment, and I thought this was really, compelling for players to understand sort of the work that they had done. So off the rush, we gave up 24 in the second segment. So the second cluster of games, we chewed back nine chances away from the rush, which is excellent. We gave up 6 more against forechecking, small amounts in power play and a face-off. But look at the PK numbers that we chewed down and the D zone that we chewed down. I mean, it was just one of those areas where we were able to really allow our players to join in on why we wanted to do certain things with our team play. So this, and not every situation is going to work out perfectly where you have a massive reduction in where you want to be at with your team. But I think in this day and age with players, I think it really speaks to something that's tangible to let them understand in practice why they're working on certain things. So this again, I think they're, you know, it's an accurate summary of what we gave up on an average: 14, 12, 11, 10, and you can see all the way to the last kind of segment here. And again, same thing with chances for. So we bumped up our numbers first segment to second to 40, so an increase of 11. Ozone numbers went up. We created more turnovers. And again, all good. So if you look here, our numbers, the jump up average, you know, 12, 16, 16, bad segment, good segment, and then coasting in for playoffs. So this was just, I guess this is the root of what I wanted to just be able to demonstrate. It was really interesting to just take a game-by-game summary and just see where our team was at in small clusters of time and be able to tweak how we wanted to play. You know, and junior hockey is different than minor hockey for many reasons. You have a turnover of players potentially for good and bad reasons. You may lose a player not without your choice, and you may obtain a player that can help you play. But you are forever dealing with a roster that's a little bit different from when you started to when you finish. So what I liked about this approach is that you could just see in the eyes of new players as they came in, you know, they hadn't really been exposed to something like this. And it was something really concrete that they could wrap their minds around. So these numbers are just that. They're numbers. They don't necessarily always lead to wins and losses, but it really does help your team find its way through the long season to be able to restore what you want their identity to be. This here is just simply the 9 segments, and you can see, which is, I found it really interesting. I would show this same sheet as the progression of segments so they can just quickly understand, you know, what we're giving up. So this here is obviously at the end of the year, we gave up 11 chances against, which is like very tight. Very, very good defensive numbers for our team. And 12 chances for is not a bad number. It wasn't a great number, but again, relatively positive from my perspective. This number wasn't great here, I don't think, the 69%, and I don't think this number here was great at all either. So us being able to give up goals from outside, that effectively just meant that we gave up 31% of the goals outside of the house. So outside of that rigid area that I detailed at the start. And then conversely, we weren't able to get inside the house and be hard enough to be able to get pucks off our stick from inside the house. So in my mind as a coach, it was great to be able to constantly have this dialogue with our team, to be able to have them understand our process of how we wanted to play. And more importantly, why we wanted them to follow our style of play. And I'm not trying to say that our style was the only style that was perfect, but as everybody knows, there's 1,000 different ways to play hockey. And the only way that really matters is the way that, you know, you can get all 20 players on your team buying in to be able to play. So for me, as I took this season approach, I'll just come back to the screen here. This really drove priorities for practices and allowed me to drill down the team habits that I wanted for our group. And for the most part, and I've always told players as I was introducing, you know, the summary sheets, you know, in a meeting, I always tell them that I'm really quite black and white with what I classify as a chance for or against. I'm not looking to pad stats at all, and I try to be as severe in what I award as a chance and calculate as a chance against. Okay, this is I'm going to try and flip into Steva here, and this is the actual introductory video. So maybe this part, this is the same video that I would have shown the very first meeting for this team, and then as players got added to our team, or players were injured and returned to the lineup, this was a reference point for them that they could check back. This is how we wanted to play. So this is the info that I'm sharing that's I haven't really shared with too many people, but this is the start of the season video. And I didn't have any Kanata clips. This was from the team that I just coached in Poland. So this was the style of play that I wanted to have our team play to reduce chances on goal. I didn't want any shots to come off sticks from inside the house. So forecheck for us. I don't want to detail too much of this, but I think there's two kinds of forechecks. There's forechecks that are dumped in the zone, which I don't think are high percentage you're going to get it back. I think most forechecking situations on teams, occur while the play is in the offensive zone. So a shot on goal is an opportunity for a forecheck puck. I think a lot of teams don't necessarily spend the time to be able to retrieve pucks from an organized fashion. So forecheck that I wanted our group to follow is 2 on the puck. The white team is who you're looking at. And so what I always wanted to do is to have, obviously, a third guy high. First guy's job was to go stick on puck, create a loose puck. Second guy's job was to be able to be retrieving the puck. So he should be on his hip. And again, with defensive team play, you want everything to happen so it's up the ice, and in Canada it would be 200 feet from your net. So we wanted to be able to sustain pressure, 2 guys on the puck. Third guy, this guy here is a forward. Okay, his job is if the puck changes sides, he's going to come down to it. You'll see that. And then you want these guys here, after the puck has changed sides, to reload back through the middle. But sustaining time in the O zone. White team is who you're looking at. Second guy hunts the puck down. Third guy is in a good spot, puck side. And again, I'm not zoned in here when I'm talking to my players about chances against. I'm focusing on having them understand how to sustain time in the zone. Players through the middle. 2 guys on the puck. I'll just zip this through here a little bit. It's the same principle. 3 guys, and I want a third forward to be high in between the 2D. I use this as a forecheck. I use this on neutral zone forechecks. I use this in offensive zone forechecks in control breakout situations. So the 1-1-3, F1's job is to be up ice, and he can pressure the puck freely. F2 is about roughly hash marks or ringette line, and F3 is between the 2D. We are setting up a hard blue line gap, which is what I want my team to do. And I want our team all the time to be able to deny speed through the middle. So red team you'll see here, F1 is hunting, F2 is in a good spot there. And you can see just behind F2, probably the shirt of F3. And it's dynamic in that F2 can jump down. F3 is supporting the D there. F1 is in. You'll see the 1-1-3 good here. F2 is ringette line, and that's a forward here. This dude is a forward. So what we want to do is have pucks pass to the outside. What we want to do is deny give and go passes to the middle. Speed through the middle is a big thing that we want to make sure we deny on teams against us. You'll see these clips here again. And again, every ounce of description or explanation that I would do to describe how we want to play as a group is so that everybody understands we want nothing coming off sticks inside the house. Back check pressure. These are just clips of good sticks on the ice, aggressive blue line gap, forwards coming back, stick on the ice, stick on the puck, turnover created, pressure behind, stick on the puck, turnover. This dude here, Jacob Lewandowski, might even be an NHL draft this year, played in the USHL. He's a very good player. Back checks, turnover. You watch him, he's going to score the goal. Good example of back checking, following up the play. Not a great goal, but great effort. Blue line gap, I have 1,000 of these clips. This is sort of the way that I wanted teams to play, very aggressive. You cannot do this unless you have all 5 guys committed. So effectively, stick or skates at or near the blue line, creating turnovers, and allowing back checks to be able to retrieve pucks. Again, same principle. You're doing this, so you're telling players you want this done so that we deny any chance of sustained time in our zone. This is a U20 team against a men's team from the Czech Republic. This is against Norway, gold medal game. They were a superior team than us, but we ended up losing in a shootout. Again, aggressive blue line causes offsides, timing issues, turnovers. And then ultimately when teams get frustrated with just seeing a sea of players in front of them, they just make dumb decisions and chip it in, give the puck back to you. Aggressive blue line, good structure, middle forward, chip in, one wormy player to forecheck. Again, good blue line, nothing through the middle. Timing issue, dump in, see you later. DZone coverage. Again, this is principles that I like to follow. Everybody plays DZone coverage different ways. Some teams swarm, some teams, play man on man. I picked up a DZone coverage from a coach a number of years ago, and one of the things that I like is I like 3 layers out of the corner. I like the strong side D to be denied as a passing option. I tell players on our team we want to cut the ice in half. We want to force players to make individual great plays on their own. So leave them away from having options. Habits, sticks on the ice, 3 layers, D side as much as possible. And again, same principle, no chances against. So obviously, red team, sticks on the ice, player, no chase behind the net. Sticks in good spots. So this would be here. This is probably the good features where this is a little bit unique, taking the strong side D away. It's really just based on the principle of, I think when you play DZone coverage, if you cut the ice in half and you don't allow a team to go D to D, you really take away a lot of hard work from your goalie to change his angle. I think teams, personally, this is just my coaching experience that I've come across, I don't think teams rotate in DZone coverage very well. Every coach will say what they're supposed to do, but I don't think teams rotate very well. So you would have players taking away chance that comes inside the house. This is relatively early, I think, with our team. So this guy's job is to take away him. You'd have 1D pushing him up the corner. This is a backside winger. This is a backside D. And this is a second layer forward. So I want 3 layers to be discernible. This maneuver here, this guy's going to beat this D behind the net. My preference would be the center comes up and takes his stick there. But either way, we have sticks on the ice, we create a turnover. First guy pressures, forces this guy to be unbelievable, to make a play. So when you take away the strong side D, most forwards that have the puck on their stick here, they know he's a safe pass to go back. He can almost blindly pass it. As soon as you take him away, this guy has to become an unbelievable player and make an unbelievable pass. What we give up typically with our team is this backside D. So this backside forward would deny that pass as much as he could, but for the most part, that's the player that we could leave uncovered. Here you can just see, take away the D, sticks on the ice for the most part, turnover created. Same deal here. Strong side winger, he knows the puck is probably coming up. He's smart enough that he can anticipate here, chips it, and now he's gone. Strong side winger. Not great on the 3 layers, but we come back to the house, sticks on the ice. Again, these are just simple structural things that really helped provide just common language with our team of how we wanted to play and deny chances. So I was okay to get some shots from outside the house, but I never wanted anything to come off a stick there. This is my big BMI on it. I don't like centers trying to win face-offs. I want centers to take 50-50 draws all the time. I don't want clean wins against any team that I'm coaching. Okay, so just take that. I don't want to spend too much time. I just want to give people a sense of kind of the structured approach that we were taking.
When you need windows.
Okay, so this is offensive team play. So regroups, and I'll go quickly here. I just want to have real quick transition habits. D, sprinting with a purpose. Center, mid-ice. I like wingers to be posted up so you can transition pucks quickly back up ice. I'm not making a judgment about regrouping, timing. I just come to the point in my coaching experience that lots of movement that lots of us do in practice and regroups, it never works in games. Seldom works in games, I should say. So what I like out of regroup habits, and again, same principle, so we get back into the offensive zone. When the puck is back to the D, and I'll show you after some drills, I want this D, more importantly, I want this partner sprinting to get himself open, so this guy always has this. And then if this guy was able to get himself up ice, he would have, that's a bad line. So he would have just a straight up pass to the wall, okay, and the center would be through the middle. We go to the partner, wingers posted up, and now we get moving with numbers and with speed. Same principle. This is another just simple example of that's a D with a puck. Carries it back to his partner. His partner buys himself some ice. Lets our wingers get into position, and our center ends up being in a perfect spot here. Yeah, entry's simple principle here, middle lane drive and wide dot. So when I was a young kid growing up, my coach always told me as the wide winger, I told you I didn't remember anything, but I guess this is the only thing I do remember. My coach would always tell me when I was a kid, we did this drill, it seemed forever. If I was this guy here, he'd want me to come in and come right to the middle. So he'd have me coming in and trying to find a spot here, and then I would be responsible to come in the middle. To me, what a lot of teams will do now is they'll have their backside winger come down the far dot. Far dot lane is a really hard area to defend. Most teams back check through the middle of the ice, and there is a seam that's available for the puck carrier on the entry. If he delays, like Wayne Gretzky tight turn, there is a lane that he can pass cross ice. But when you go down the far lane, far dot, you also get pucks that rebound to certain areas. Not a great example of a middle lane drive, but the far dot player comes down. And then ozone play. These are just clips of what I would have directed the Kanata team. Again, showing them the white team here, just trying to grind teams down, use the back of the net, change sides. Some of you may have heard of the term the Royal Road. All that simply is just splitting the ice in half and having the puck cross from one side to the other in front of the goalie is, by most NHL standards, the most difficult save for a goalie to make. Right like that. So I'd encourage you, if you can, look up the word Royal Road. There's some good presentations you could probably find on generating offensive zone quality opportunities. Slash play, again, I'll zip through this quickly. This is just simply an exit. This is actually, the red team is actually the team that I coach right now in Hungary. This is from a number of years back. Slash play is just simply coming over to the puck side. So this was obviously a set play by the red team, the team that I'm coaching. This guy here is coming out of the face-off, and he's going to go behind this strong side D. This puck carrier gets himself off the boards, and he can either indirect or he can direct to somebody that's also coming through here as well. You see a lot of teams coming over to the puck side as they leave zones. So slash play is how it was referred to me. And just an opportunity for you as you're driving the offense with your team to try and get yourself 200 feet up the ice and able to forecheck and sustain time through your other methods. Speed. The very difficult play to defend when you have speed coming at you as a D. You have to make decisions whether to stand up or to back off. The puck carrier knows, he just takes whatever space is available to him. White team here. So the challenge to all of this is to not only, with your team, develop clips that ultimately become clips of their own, of the Kanata team doing this. So I don't have my Stiva from my Kanata time. So all of the videos that we prepared for the Kanata players, we obviously, upgraded the video so it was Kanata players doing our system. So it became just part of how they understood we wanted them to play. I'll attach a set of practice drills in a format, I guess, when Jeff sends the document out. But these are just the drills that I'll just demonstrate. These would be drills to reinforce habits. So whether it's stick position, whether it's puck support, all habits that bleed into denying chances or generating chances. Simple warm-up drill that I would do. All players on one blue line in one color, 3 players on each color inside the neutral zone, moving constantly. The coach that's operating the drill would just feed pucks in from here. The field of play is in between the blue lines. The objective here is the red team to sustain possession of the puck as long as they can, and they can pass to anybody in line. The player in line can only pass it back to the middle. So you can just see it here as it flows. This is a warm-up drill that I do that I have done the last probably 8-10 years. Perfect drill. This, and I'll tell you this, this is the early practices I would have had with this Polish team. It was a summer camp. It's not being done perfect because the players on the blue line are not ready for the puck to come to their stick. So these are all teaching attributes that I would build in, over time with this group. This is a drill Donald Turnback. Donald was a guy I coached with before at one time. It's his drill. I liked it, so his name. So it's a drill most of you have probably done as a player, or most of you as coaches have maybe done. So I like it because it's an undercover forecheck drill. So you get a breakout that happens. The line that breaks out regroups themselves at the far blue line and reattacks the same 2D 3-on-2. And then you'll have a new line come out and you'll spot a new puck for that original line to now forecheck from a dump. So I'll just let you see it here. So white line breaks out. Bad pass. Again, one puck. So they attack this same group. And this is what I told you initially about reinforcing as a forechecking drill. So this drill here, play on the entry will happen. This puck inevitably is game-like because if you score, that's fine. The play is done. But inevitably, the rebound puck is the forecheck puck that needs to happen for your team. A lot of players will just skate away from this puck, but we would spend the time to make sure our guys hounded that puck to try and keep it in. We gave them a puck just to allow the drill to unfold, dump, and a forecheck. Not perfect for colors. Red line breaks out. Bad pass. Yeah. So it repeats. You break out. You regroup yourself. You attack 3-on-2. Forecheck for loose pucks. And I typically, by the end, as the team matured into the drill, I would allow that play to go on for a long time before they dump. This drill is a simple, small area game, I guess, 3-on-3. This would teach defensive zone habits, having players prioritize pucks from coming off sticks inside the house, and conversely, forcing players to generate their chances. In the simplest way, the puck that was retrieved initially, that team's on offense. And then you don't see it so much in this unfolding, but normally the team with possession of the puck would go back to the coach. And as soon as the coach passed it back to you, that meant that you were on offense. So there was a constant shift between offense and defense. Players changed on the fly. And so I really like this drill. I've done this with every team because it mimics playing DZone coverage habits. Conversely, it also mimics offensive zone play and responsible line changes. Simple 3-on-3. There are breakout habits in this, or forechecking habits, and it becomes a competitive drill. I'll just fast forward this. Very good teaching drill over time. This is a DZone coverage drill that I really like doing. I'll just set it up here quickly. So 5-on-5 2-puck. I always practice in the teams that I coach one color against an opposite color. The odd time I'll have lines in different colors, but for the most part it's white against red or blue against green, whatever it is. So what happens in this drill, let's say the red line is on offense. They have 2 pucks that they can try and generate as much goals or chances as they can. The opposing color, white, is defending, and their job is to obviously defend the puck. The only thing they can't do is ice the puck. The puck just has to get a millimeter out over the blue line, and they've defended that puck. So they have to defend 2 pucks. So it's 5-on-5, 2 puck. So as it turns out, red is defending here. So what I do typically when I do this drill, so we'll go white against red in this context, and I give 2 points for a chance against and 5 points for a goal. Sorry, 5 points for a goal scored and 2 points for a chance generated. So the colors compete against each other, and I give them a whatever amount of reps, 2 or 3 reps per color. And so the objective is for them to deny or generate chances. So, you know, it's not probably evident here, but normally you get pretty good intensity around players wanting to defend and deny chances as much as they can. The one risk in this, and I know this every time that I do this, sometimes players will start to run around just not play in the right position, but those are all teaching points that I would adjust and adapt. Okay, let me just go back to the sheets here. So again, that sheet that I just had detailed, I would take practice content and work on areas. So if you recall, the chances that we gave up were high as a rush. So that meant to me that our forecheck was ineffective. And I would make sure the players understood the connection between how we wanted to forecheck and how we were having success or difficulties forechecking, and how it related to chances we were giving up in games. Conversely, DZone coverage was obviously DZone play. Again, as I broke the season down into segments, each new segment was done with a brand new white sheet. They had brand new opportunity to make improvements as they needed to. Allowed for me to have a dialogue for why we played this certain way, for priorities. Again, I would say for everybody as a summary, you can take and apply what you think is practical from what we've just talked about here. Your age group may not have video that's easily accessible, but there's lots of ways to adapt in this day and age to be able to access video. Those sheets, those summary sheets are really easy to, you know, to develop on your own. If you're coaching a group with parents, again, you've probably got a bunch of keen parents that would be able to calculate chances for you, and then it's up to you whether you want to accept those as final or not. You know, you have team support that you can delegate. You know, maybe you get a coach on your bench that's generating or calculating chances. Figure it out, as we all have to do when we coach, to get the information you need to. And then get better every day. I think that's a mantra that I want my team to have, and I think this approach to looking at chances as a means to help improve your team lets your team get better as the season unfolds. If anybody has any questions, or if you need to send me an email, this is all stuff that you can access. My team is called, so it's in the Erste Liga in Hungary. It's called the Dunajváros Akobikok. That's translates into the Dunajváros Steel Bulls. Dunajváros is a town in Hungary that's about 45 minutes south of Budapest. There you go.
Thank you, Dave. We had a couple of questions come in. I'm hearing some reverb. So I assume that one person's device is still feeding back through. Hope to continue. What we can try is this. Carl Robillard, if you're still on the call, unmute your mic, ask Dave your question, and see if it's a little clearer.
Yeah, I can do that. How you doing, Dave?
Hi, Carl.
Listen, just what I mentioned there is I noticed that a couple of the analytics you showed, you guys gave up significantly more than 50% of your goals from the house. You're in the 30% range. Would that, from an analytics standpoint, give you an indication that maybe you got an issue with goaltending, or is that more of a systematic thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is a yes, 100%. I'm not somebody that does meetings to embarrass people, but I showed the information, and I can tell you this for sure. I did the meeting to show what we gave up inside the house. I said to our team, these weren't good numbers. And I said to the team, these weren't good numbers that we generated. I talked to both goalies after the meeting, and I just told them, hey, listen, this isn't good enough, this level. So it was just something that needed to be addressed with our group. And so, yes, I addressed it with the players that were implicated, but I also made sure, that the offensive part wasn't good either. Does that answer your question?
It does, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. We had another question come in from Wes Wolf. Wes, if you're still on the call, we'll get you to unmute your mic and ask your question.
He just got
off. Okay, so I'll give it a roll. Hopefully the sound is okay. So Wes wrote, seeing a significant number of goals for and against from outside of home plate makes me curious. Is there a correlation to playing on an Olympic surface with more room outside the dot changing the goaltending?
I mean, I don't think so. Those stats came from the North American team, though. The manner of play, if that style of play that we used on the big ice, when you're on smaller surface, you're really contracting the space that players should be able to access the puck. At least that's my logic that I thought made sense.
Okay. The second part of his question read, was this data consistent with your tracking in North America? Which I think based on your answer, you said that these were North American numbers.
They were, actually. Okay. So the videos that I showed with the team play, those were the first meeting at the start of the Kanata season. So it was just a frame of reference for them to understand, the initial points of where I wanted them to be.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Dave, thanks very much for taking time this evening.
Thank you.
Our most humble apologies for the noise and the interference that you had to deal with. We hope it doesn't impact the recording. Jeff, is there anything you need to add? You're still muted.
There we go. The registration is now open for North. It'll be on Wednesday again, July. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Email will come out with the link to the recording as soon as we get the process. And hope to see you all next week. Our next presentation is July 8th. I think that's the date for the Wednesday. And we have Larry Rush on deck, and he's going to be talking about teaching side of coaching. Larry's a vice principal and one of our coach developers with ATO. And this is an area of specialty for him, so it should be quite entertaining and quite valuable. So everybody, as usual, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks a lot, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. That was, you know what? I couldn't tell how loud that was with the